Welcome to the Needed Podcast. It sounds different, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, actually, I forgot. You're supposed to sign.
I'll do it afterwards.
Nah, we got to do it. We got. No, you know what? Yeah, we could do it afterwards.
We'll do it afterwards.
We'll do a little. So some people might be wondering what that is, but I call it the little Wall of Fame, the Needed Podcast Wall of Fame. But I usually have them just kind of put a signature and then something that they live by. So as you can see, some people live by different things. Do it right. Do things with the intention, so some cool stuff. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure that you guys subscribe, like, and comment on this video, share it. This is going to be a good one. I'm super excited to not only get in depth with my guests, but also talk about my experience because, we all just hate going to the dentist. Welcome.
Yeah, you're telling me.
So just before I actually introduce them formally, we built this relationship outside of the actual dental office and stuff. And then super cool guy, not just because, our experience with him, but we'll get more into why, there's really more to it than actually just, the dental side of it. But Dr. Neil, welcome to the show. Appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I see. We had to get him right with the fade too.
I know. I feel like $1 million.
No, yeah. At first, I didn't think you really needed it, like no pun, but like now that I see the fade, it looks good.
No, so, I needed it.
And we're actually going to talk a little bit about your experience because I know you told me this funny story about why you've had like the same barber for so long, right?
Definitely. Yeah, I'm loyal.
Yeah, loyal guy. So that says a lot about him. And that actually, we got to pay attention to that. People that bounce around with barbers, they should already be sus, huh?
Yeah, for sure. Same thing with dentists too.
No, yeah, for real. Yeah. Funny thing about it is, aside from, when I went to get the veneers, like we clicked in different levels. Like we think the same. We like a lot of the same stuff. So
Definitely.
People are going to get to know more of that. But just kind of introduce yourself for those that don't know, because nobody would really think like in the modern day, like I'm having a dentist come on the podcast. So just kind of introduce yourself. That way, those people that don't know or don't follow you.
So my name is Neil Hadier, DDS. I'm a cosmetic dentist in Beverly Hills. I am Ulysses' dentist as well.
Right.
We started off and then we had a, really cool connection, same mindset. I appreciate people like that are just highly motivated, hardworking individuals. So, you may see me on social media, Instagram. I'm trying to get on that TikTok game because Blanca's been on me about that.
We've been on you that for like a year.
Yeah,
but
I'm trying.
I'm on the same boat though. I'm telling you, we're literally the same. That we're trying to kind of break out of that. Like I'm a cool guy. Trust me. Let me start posting some content. But that's super dope that you are a little more open to growing in that space. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The funny thing was when I first bought my practice, I was just like so weird about social media because I'd never actually recorded myself, like just doing anything on video. So like when the first time I started like, posting a story and I'm like doing a selfie, I'm like, God, I look so stupid. I sound retarded on this, So I do like 20 takes just doing it. I was so awkward and stiff and all that kind of stuff. And then the more I started doing it, I just started kind of like, you know what, I'm just going to let it flow.
Right.
I'm just gonna be myself.
Yeah, you can't overthink the content. That's one thing I've been learning. And even now, for example, like me actually, you speaking, me putting the ice, since we're gonna, drink on some tequila right now. Typically I would cut that. But then now, I feel like whatever, this is just gonna be raw. Actually, look, even my phone's here. I didn't even realize that. You can hand that over to me.
Yeah, I got you.
My bad. Well, and then that little metal clip too.
Well, tequila is important for any interview.
So you're a big tequila drinker, right?
I am.
So go ahead. Actually, I'm gonna let you do the honors because you're the one that recommended the bottle, and
that's right.
I did the rest.
This was my idea.
Is that squirt bottle right there somewhere?
You're not mixing it, are you?
You never mix?
No.
I kind of want to.
With tequila?
I'm Mexican.
Aren't you supposed to drink it straight up?
Well, not really. So what ethnicity are you actually?
So I'm Persian. My family's Persian. But I was born and raised here. So a lot of people, when they find out that I'm Persian, they're like, well, how's your name Neil? I can't grab that. I'm about to just put this all in. So I'm Persian. My parents are Persian. And I was born and raised here. And that's my background.
Yeah, so L.A. born and raised.
Yep.
Persian background.
This is a squirt plug?
Yeah, this is pretty much what people drink tequila with. I thought this was like nothing new to you.
Is this true?
No, this is definitely a true thing. But I know that people do drink straight, which is actually the way you're supposed to.
All right, I'm gonna start it. like that straight, and then I'll add the squirt to see how that actually tastes.
You might. You're either gonna like it or you're gonna hate it. There's a name for this.
You said that's a Mexican thing?
Yeah, it's called a paloma actually. Like
a paloma?
Paloma.
You just made that up.
No, I swear. So that's actually what it's called, and then it's
Dude, I give up with this size.
Yeah, just do whatever you have to do.
I'm just drinking it straight up.
Yeah, so it's called paloma, and they do like the salted rim, and then it's kind of like when you go to these like resorts and stuff. That's typically what people ask for.
Oh, so you're bougie.
Yeah, but see, you're drinking it like a shot, or do you think so? So what's the whole thing about drinking it straight? Because it waters it down with the ice.
Well, I mean, I just like it a little bit chilled. Usually I put a little bit of lime in it too, but
okay, that's cool.
I just like to taste the tequila, just personally. Like I've never been a big, drinker.
Let me water it down.
Or mixed drinks.
Yeah, and I get that too. I think now that I'm getting a little bit older, so I'm turning 29 next week, and I'm starting to like different stuff. So I started liking the cigars. I started liking, and not all the time, but
that's exactly what a dentist wants to hear. I started picking up cigars at 29.
You're learning all the secrets right now. No, so it's occasional though. Like literally, the last time I did it was probably like a month ago, and that's like once in a blue moon. But I'm starting to like different stuff. So I know that with that, you have to drink it with maybe like whiskey or something like that. But
it brings out the flavor.
Yeah, it brings out the flavor. So
I don't know how I would know that.
Yeah. So back to what you were saying about before we got distracted with the tequila. So back to what you're saying about growing up Persian. So what's that like for those that don't really know about like other I guess upbringings, because typically we got a lot of Latino viewers. So I'm wondering if there's like relatable things.
Well, we were talking about that, right? While I was getting my cut, they all have their own, I think, things that they do culturally and their expectations and whatnot. I think in general, your parents expect of you to be and there's these stereotypes, right? That they expect of you to be either a doctor or a lawyer. And anything else is just frowned upon.
So you have like high standards.
Yeah, definitely. You're just like, you got to be a doctor or a lawyer, or you're just like a failure.
Wow.
That's just like that's the kind of like expectation that they have. Like you have to be, really into your academics and, like the stereotypes that we all drive Benzes and Beamers.
No, that's a true thing for sure. Yeah, I've noticed that. I'm like, man, these guys is it just because they like them, or is it just like that's just the car? What's the story behind that?
I mean, it's just like drive German, dress Italian.
Right. That's funny. Know. So this is just part of the culture, really.
Yeah. But it's a beautiful culture, and I love it. Especially my family is very family oriented. Which I really appreciate, because I have a very big family. I mean, if you want to think of what's like kind of similar to Persian culture, if you ever watch or have watched the movie My Big Fat Greek Wedding,
I've heard of it.
I've heard of it. You have to watch it.
I have to watch
it. But my family is very much like that. Just loud, and we're drinking at family events, and a lot of food, a lot of hospitality. There's a lot of like hospitality and warmth and whatnot, very similar to Latin culture. Yeah, definitely.
Sure. Any Hispanic really, doesn't have to be Mexican specifically, but we're big on family,
right?
Like the morals, you know what I mean? I mean, I want to say like we're similar in the standards of wanting to be great, but there's just,
your parents want to keep you at home as long as possible.
Right? Yeah, so, that's a thing too. Yeah. And speaking about even that, about, obviously you're saying that they have these expectations. It kind of brings up, how you started in becoming even a dentist, because a lot of people, I told you that one of my cousins is in dental school. So you were mentioning that you are a UC San Diego and a USC alumni. So kind of just going to that, like, how was your experience in college?
I would say that the best years of my life was in college,
right? A lot of people say that,
and a lot of people say that because they party, and it's like the first time they kind of get their own freedom and whatnot. So I was accepted to a couple schools going straight out of high school, right? I was accepted to UC Irvine. I was accepted to Berkeley, USC, UC San Diego, and I'm missing one more. UCLA. Did I say UCLA? Yeah, but UCLA too. UOB was dental school. And I checked them all out, and if I went to UCLA, I would have to live at home. And I was like, hell no. It's just literally, because it's like 10 minutes away from where my parents live.
And typically then, some people do that, but it kind of defeats the experience, right?
Right. I think one of the purposes of going to college and just like being on your own and starting to develop an identity for yourself.
Right.
Because you're always used to like your parents looking over your shoulder and living under their roof and guiding you. And now this is like your first chance in life to kind of, just be on your own and kind of do things, everything that you've learned throughout life up until that point, how your parents raised you and all that, just form your own identity.
Yeah.
That's where it begins. I don't think college is where it begins and ends,
life definitely not.
No, right.
We talk about that all the time, right?
Yeah,
it's like, man, it's so hard. And then you get into, obviously, at that time, I'm sure you probably had an idea, but then it didn't turn out that way, right? What the initial goal was.
Yeah. So, like going back to the whole, like how I was raised and, Persian culture. So like, our parents are very strict about academics. You're not allowed to date until like however long. I did have a girlfriend in high school.
So that explains why you're still single right now, right? You haven't found the one yet.
Because I'm still studying.
Yeah, you're still studying.
That's exactly what I'm doing.
That's funny.
Yeah, no.
I'm sure the girls are wondering, so we want to. That's why. All right, guys.
Oh, we're diving right.
No,
right now.
We'll get into that later.
Okay. So I was like very like I would say I was very innocent and naive.
Yeah.
Going into college because like I was just very studious in high school. Although I did have a girlfriend, but that was like kind of on the down low. Like my dad kind of helped me with that.
Right.
We didn't let my mom know. So going into college, I just was like basically the first, I would say like 2.5, 3 years just focused on school, fulfilling my GE requirements and my major requirements. And then something happened. So when I started college, my girlfriend and I broke up, right? And I was like, at that time, how old was I? Like 17 years old?
It happens often typically when it's like, yo, college coming up, we're split,
Right. And it was like the distance involved too.
Yeah.
And so we broke up and I was like, at the time I was like, what? Like 6'1" and I weighed like 160 pounds. I was like, if I show you pictures of me in college, you would not recognize me.
Yeah.
Because I was thin. I was like super scrawny.
Right. I grew into my body too, like up until maybe after 25 is when I started to gain like more of the mass. But for a long time, I thought I was going to be skinny for life. Fact.
Wait, he's in good shape.
No, I mean, we're getting there. We're getting there. I think we're always on the same page. Like we're trying to get onto the workout thing, but we're like, we're okay where we're at, because it's a lot better than when we were.
Definitely.
So,
definitely. It's always a plus when you're looking better as you're getting older, right?
Right.
So that's when I started working out. And I was like, oh, now I'm single and I have zero game. And I've like, I have no idea like how to attract a female. I'm like, this is lanky, awkward dude. So I started working out. And that's when I really started like bulking up. So I went from like 160 to like 230.
Oh, wow. That's a lot.
Yeah. Like over a span of like 2.5 years. I was just eating like a monster.
And that's a key. Like if anybody's out there that's a young like listener, like, if they want to actually put on some mass, they have to eat a lot.
It just depends on your body type. So I was really skinny and I started taking like a lot of weight gainer.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the weight gainer. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just eating a ton, man. Like a lot of Chipotle, a lot of like footlongs at the Subway, and
everything,
everything inside. And when you're younger, you can afford to eat that much because your body's just burning the calories like that. So I was like doing the study thing. I was working out a lot, and then I was just trying to build my confidence and like learn like how to talk to girls and making new friends. And then once I hit the 2.5, 3 year mark, I joined a fraternity.
Okay,
which was like so not like me to do, but all my friends in college and even in high school were like a year older than me.
Okay.
So when they were graduating, I'm like, oh crap, I'm gonna like, I need more friends.
Yeah, for sure. I think we've all felt that as a guy at one point,
Yeah.
That hit me in high school when I joined, the school that I joined. It was more of a private school. Like all my friends went to all the opposite schools.
Right.
And I was here kind of like having to get uncomfortable, kind of like your situation.
Right.
And I remember, dude, just being in lunch and like, who the hell am I gonna go eat with? Like you don't want to be a loner. But then now we don't mind being alone, right? As adults, it's like you don't even want friends nowadays.
No. I just want to be at home.
Yeah,
man.
but at the time, it's like, man, I need friends and I want to be with the cool people and I want to do this. It's just a time where you're trying to kind of like figure out yourself or kind of, I don't know. There's another way to put it. You kind of want to fit in. is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Especially like, then like everybody's like, in their like early 20s, and you see all these guys around you that are like, super jacked.
Right.
And
There's always those.
They have like their ears pierced and all that. I did get my ears pierced to fit in, to blend. Yeah. And then I joined the frat, and that was like a completely different experience. It definitely made me more social, Dope. I would say. But it was weird because like when they were interviewing me for that, like, why'd you wait so long? And I was like, well, I wanted to make sure that I was, right with school. I finished all my requirements and my GPA was good. And I knew that when I was at UC San Diego getting my bachelor's in human biology, I wanted to become a plastic surgeon. So my focus was to do well in school and then have fun.
Right. So you already had it right. Like the principles were already there.
Yeah.
The mentality was there. You knew what you wanted. But then it's just like such a vital part of the journey at that age too. That age time is like, you know what you want, but then there's so many distractions because not necessarily because they're just distractions, but you're also trying to kind of get to know a lot of these things too. You're curious as well because you haven't done it and stuff. So, I mean, it's kind of similar to being Hispanic, right? Like everything's you're like a little more sheltered.
Yeah, definitely.
You have to kind of like be a good kid, and you have to, obviously similar too, like my parents wanted us to be like lawyers and everything. Like my brother, Oscar, went to the University of the Pacific, UOP. Mm-hmm. We'll get into that in a bit too, because I know you mentioned that. And, he's doing really good in what he's doing. And then my brother's in accounting, Sacramento State. So everybody went to university except me. So, you're talking about, we'll let you get into your story about you getting drafted, and going to USC.
Yeah, that's right.
But me, I'm undrafted, but, you still kind of make something out of it. And that's kind of like a topic too that I want to touch because we're talking about school so much. And, back at one point in time, it's like you have to go to school. This is how you're going to be successful and great. So just kind of give your advice, I guess, on that, since we're on it, on people out there that are actually really wanting to chase after a certain career, but yet there's so many distractions on social media, and it kind of puts this thought in your head of, maybe I don't want to go to school and chase after what I want because of what I'm seeing other girls do or other guys do.
Right. Well, I mean, social media changed everything. It changed our day-to-day life completely. When I was in college, there was no iPhone. There was no iPod. There was Facebook had just started. Like UCSD was like one of, I think, like 20 schools that Facebook had actually expanded to at the time. Mm-hmm. And this was like around 2000, I want to say like 3 or 4.
Yeah. People forget about how recent all of this started to change. It's kind of literally like the generation is changing so much, like in front of our eyes.
Oh, it's crazy. I can't even keep up with it.
And even with you, like now you're adapting, right? Like you have to adapt.
I'm trying to. Yeah. I'm trying to do some TikTok.
Yeah, right.
But like back then there was no iPhone. There was only MySpace was huge. If anybody remembers that.
Yeah, of course. We had the profile songs and everything.
Right, exactly. I did have my profile song.
Which one was it?
Oh man, I don't remember. I think it was like some rock band. I have like I had like the wallpaper of like famous stars and straps. Do you remember that?
Yeah. You had to like dress it up.
Yeah. So it was so different, and so it's crazy because I think like now with social media influencing how it's changed the game so much, right? And I think this is my personal opinion. I think that a lot of the younger generation are looking at social media influencing as an easy and quick way to make money.
Right.
Or sponsorships.
And it comes down to like, what are you doing it for too?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like what are your intentions behind it?
Right. And if I think that if you think that's your way of, making a quick buck, or that's just the easy way of doing something, you're absolutely wrong. Because if you want to be successful in anything, you're going to have to put in the work. You're going to have to put in the time. And you also have to be smart about how you're going to, if you start seeing success on social media, how are you going to utilize that? So, for example, I admire this about you and Blanca, that, you're not just like social media influencers. You guys are entrepreneurs because you not only use that platform for family, for the businesses that you guys own. You guys are doing so many different things that you don't see like other people on social media doing. It's a relatively new, I would say, like field, right?
In terms of, definitely.
So we don't know like the long-term longevity of it.
Right, which is the scary part for us too, because,
definitely.
Me, I was, I got into the barbering thing, and then I had to pretty much like once I moved here, I completely said, okay, I'm changing things up. So I had to leave everything I knew. I was like a robot cutting hair,
Right?
Which I was great at. I really everything I do, I give it 100%. So as soon as I was probably like halfway done with, typically a community college, you go into like a 4-year, but you just do 2 years. So that's what I was on. I was going to do 2 years here, get out quick, and then go and finish the 2 years, which is what both of my brothers did.
Right.
But I just knew that I had a passion for this instead. And I feel like I was always into art. So I jumped into that. And, I had to pretty much stop all that and learn this. But then also it's scary because you don't really know the longevity of it. Like, how long is it going to last? Are you going to capitalize on on the actual platform? Which I feel like a lot of the times too, there was a time where me and Blanca were the couple, and that was just like trending at the time. Instagram was fairly new.
Sure.
And I was just too focused on my barber side, which I was doing good at, that I never really gave that the time of day. Until now, I feel like I'm barely starting to grow in this area where people start to get to know me a little bit more. I'm starting to post more about just like us, our relationship, our kids, which technically is our personal life, which in our platform, that's what people want to see.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then now, like, I'm here
and that's
doing
what I'm
podcast.
working on right now.
Yeah,
right.
you want people to know a little more of you.
Yeah.
Which is why we're here too, doing the episode. And I want people to.
We're not going to talk too much about teeth.
Yeah,
a little bit.
No, we definitely have to get into the teeth because that's
we will.
Because I this is where the teeth came from. Like, the teeth literally changed my life for real. Like, might as well jump into it now. But I always have braces, guys. Like, a lot of people don't know, but I have braces literally growing up. I kid you not. My teeth, out of all my brothers have pretty good teeth, except Oscar. He chipped it. He chipped it playing racquetball one time. That was a funny story. But my teeth were kind of like, they had the gap. They were a little crooked. And then I got braces, and I just had bad experiences at the dentist all the time. At dental offices, always braces. And then I think I want to say my canines never came in until later because the root was so thin. So eventually, like, suddenly when I hit high school, I was so insecure going into high school because my teeth weren't in. So I was like, I'm going to be over here missing teeth. You know what I mean? And that's already the age where you're like, you're going to see girls. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So then they came in, but then, I had a little problems with the root being too thin. And then I switched into another ortho. My teeth were finally like,
it was a journey for you.
Yeah, it was a journey for me, like the teeth part, right? So then finally I got my teeth. I felt good. But then it's also the upkeep, right? The maintenance.
Sure.
Stop caring about it. Wasn't wearing my retainer. You guys know, if you guys have braces, that you guys have to wear your retainer. Wasn't taking care of that. And you're young too, So you're giving literally a responsibility that.
And your parents are paying for it too.
Right. And it's like people already don't brush their teeth. So it's like, how are you going to put a retainer on? You know what I mean? So it's a process really with the maintenance. And I want you to touch, on that topic as well. And then later on, as I got older, like I started drinking coffee, you start getting some yellow, and then boom, here we are getting veneers now.
Sure.
And after I got that, man, I mean, so many people were like, I didn't think you ever needed them, but wow, now, and it's not like I smile all the time, but now they're starting to see, the difference. And I'm going to actually post the before and after right here so you guys could actually see the difference, because sometimes people look at things out of results, right? They look at the before and after, they're like, wow, now I want to go get it. So just kind of talk to people about the upkeep of teeth and also the veneer thing, because I know that that's something that really, like, you're known for.
So I think there's like a lot of factors in terms of the patients that I've come to like see, in terms of upkeep, part of it is the way that you're raised, right? Like how much emphasis your parents put on your oral health. And then another aspect of it is what your experiences are, which are usually, pretty much crafted at a very young age. So a lot of the patients that I've seen that are like dental phobic, that they don't like going to the dentist, it's because they've had bad experiences, particularly at a young age. Mm-hmm. For me personally, when I was first starting out, I remembered that throughout my life, when I would go see my dentist, he made it a very enjoyable, fun experience. And how did he do that? He built a relationship. He built the rapport, right? And you also want to be good at what you do. Like dentistry can be a painful thing, obviously.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I can vouch for that, literally. Like, I've had some bad,
right?
Even with braces where they would put the metal bracket to get like your molds.
Right.
Like them not really making it comfortable for you.
Right, because
you get scarred.
they're either too rough or whatever.
Right,
So
right.
it's like if you're good at what you do and you really, as a dentist or like, staff, and you keep in mind that what you're doing, the procedures you're doing it with the patient comfort in mind, and you're just doing whatever you can to give them the best experience possible, that's going to make them feel a lot more comfortable.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So like I said, it's a combination of, like what their mentality is when it comes to their oral health. Like if their parents or the way you're raised to not really care about your teeth, not really go to your checkups, not brush, like 2 to 3 times a day, and not floss. I'm going to tell you this right now. I've seen a lot of patients that are really young that have a lot of like dental problems.
Yeah.
I'm talking about to the point where like they're losing multiple teeth. I just had a patient come to me like this past week, 27 years old, and such severe bone loss and periodontal disease because she never really cared for her teeth.
Right.
That I could literally pull out her teeth with my fingers.
No way.
Yep.
That's how like bad it is. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And,
I mean,
you said sometimes it's not even their fault, right? It's just like the upbringing, what they're used to.
Or even like, like unfortunately, like not a lot of people have access to it.
Right.
For whatever reason, whether like it's the country they grew up in or just for financial reasons.
Definitely,
but, you can, this is what I tell people, you can do your part. If you can just brush and floss, I know this sounds so cliche, but really it's true,
No, it's definitely this. It's just like anything in life, right? The small things, you have to do that.
Definitely. Even when you get veneers, right? So I tell my patients, they ask me, how long do veneers last? And I tell them 10 to 20 years. Why is there such a broad range? There's so many factors involved in that. First and foremost is your oral hygiene. If you're not brushing, if you're not flossing, if you're not coming in for your routine checkups, cleanings, x-rays, then they're not going to last.
Yeah. It's funny, right? So every time I go, just so you guys know, like he literally is my dentist. Like every time I go, he checks up on me. Doesn't necessarily like do the cleaning, anything like that, but he always steps in. He always checks up. And it reminds me of that transition of when I actually went from like shitty experiences up until having like a better ortho or a dentist period, like them checking up and actually like giving you just even 2 minutes of their day, right? Like you feel more comfortable.
I definitely try to establish
that's important.
Like a personal relationship in the sense of like, I don't want people to or patients to ever feel like they're just a number. Right? I build those relationships with my patients. Like, when they come and they see me, I remember things that they told me from months ago. And they're like, you remember that? I'm like, of course, because I listen to what everybody says and I care about each individual person.
Yeah.
You come in, you get a cleaning. I'm like, oh, Ulysses here. I'm going to stop by like in between my procedure. I'll say what's up, see how you're doing, see how Blanca's doing, Max, Camila,
Yeah, exactly.
It's just part of like, I want my patients to feel like they're family.
Yeah.
And we treat them like that too.
And people don't understand that too, the customer service side of it where, it's still a patient, a client, however you want to put it. But
super important.
Everybody's so different. And sometimes people have this bad idea in their head of, well, he's not a talkative person. It's like, well, you just haven't figured out what you guys relate to. Like let's say I'm a family person, right? Big time. And you bring up my kids and automatically my mood changes and I just start talking and you already got me there. You know what I mean? So it's just the experience at the end of the day, which is really cool. And, that's what I enjoy. And I go in there with my cleanings. I was going to talk about the maintenance actually before we got, we opened up about that. But the water pick is like clutch for me.
Huge.
No, for the maintenance side, like literally,
definitely.
It has a bunch of different heads, and then it's literally I don't want to say the wrong thing, but it's pretty much replacing me actually flossing. But
it's an alternative.
It's really good though. Like you feel way different after you floss with that. It gets literally everything out.
It's like you have options, right? Like if you don't like flossing, traditional floss, you use the floss picks. If you don't like that, you use the water pick.
Right. Maybe some people want more control. You know what I mean? But the water one just works for me. Like I love that one. And the veneers, like I said, a lot of people didn't think I needed them, and then I didn't really. I feel like I gave up. I was like, whatever. Like I'm gonna brush. I'm gonna floss. But I wasn't perfect at it. But
let me ask you this though.
Yeah.
Why did you want veneers?
I feel like a lot of it was like when I actually touched on the topic, I was like, damn, I guess I really am insecure about it. Or, oh, never mind. Post the one where I didn't smile. You know what I mean? Like little things like that where I started to notice like, okay, it is insecurity. On top of that too, into like who I was becoming, being on social media and everything, I feel like that was my part of my image too. And also part of it was like, you know what, maybe some people could relate to this, and I want to show them that this is an option. You know what I mean? Some people don't know that they can get that. You know, they think they need implants, or this is what they have to deal with.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people that like do know who I am, they know me for my cosmetic work, right? And I do all kinds of dentistry. I mean, I'm primarily a cosmetic dentist, but I do general dentistry as well. A lot of people ask me, like, do you do fillings, do you do crowns? I do that as well. But my focus or my expertise is on veneers. And the reason that's the case, because personally, I'm just very like, I love the ability to change someone's life. I can't tell you how many times like I've done a veneer case and the person has never smiled before. Yeah. Imagine having that blessing that you can actually change someone's life. That
you don't even know how to
smile.
Yeah.
I have to like when I'm taking their before photos and I'm like going through the process, I'm like, smile for me. And they can't. They don't know how to.
And my whole thing, once again, if you guys, you know, I'm going to try to see if I could get another angle of the pictures, but if you guys see here, we did not just the teeth, but the laser contouring of the gums made a huge difference, because my teeth were always just small. Right. And I feel like, you know, everybody's built different, right? But my face was always a little bit bigger. I had a big smile. So automatically I went in there wanting 4 veneers, but you said you need 10 because your smile is so wide. So that's why now the smile appears better, because the teeth fill my face. Right. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like the cosmetic side of it, right? Where you kind of like, you know, you tailor it to the person.
Definitely. I have a whole process when I do it, right? So like I take so many photos of the person's face from so many different angles, and I like, you know, retract their cheeks and lips, and I look at like how their gums, you know, like line up with the plane of their eyes. And when we pick colors, we look at, you know, like their skin tone and their eye color, and I design everything based off their facial features. So if you ever look at my Instagram at NH Dentistry Beverly Hills,
we're gonna tag them again. We're gonna tag them again.
Shameless plug. You'll see that, you know, like none of the before and afters that I do ever look the same, and they should not, because no two people look the same.
And see, also too, another thing is sometimes people say you don't even need it, and then they see the after. And it's like the most subtle things, but they made such a big difference, right?
And I get those comments in DMs too, right? Like I'll do a case and somebody will, you know, send me a message and say like, oh, well, like that person didn't need it. In your opinion, they didn't need it. But what people don't understand is that there's a confidence aspect of it. You know, the person feels insecure about their teeth for one reason or another. It's really sad. You know, like I just did this case, right, with Blanca. Yeah, the smile makeover giveaway.
It was a giveaway, yeah.
Yeah, and that girl had been bullied all her life. Yeah, and she kept postponing her wedding because she did not want to smile for a photo. Think about that. Most people take these things for granted. You get married, you take your wedding photos. What if you were so insecure about your smile that you kept postponing your wedding day?
Nah, teeth are a big deal. Literally, is like one of the things that people first see, and I remember the compliments I was getting right away. You know, when people were starting to notice, or you know, even me when I would smile, I would kind of like look away, you know, and it's like without really thinking about it, I was aware of that.
Now this guy is like cheesing real hard in his photos. Like, look at that.
We got to show them the smile, like right here, close up.
Yeah. I mean, like when I see his post or I see Blanca's post with him, I'm like, damn, look at
this. Yeah, it's a big wide smile now. And I love how natural they look too. That's another thing as well. So sometimes people think, you know, it's going to look fake or it's not going to be good. They don't know how it's going to be after. But literally, guys, it feels exactly like my teeth. I never had to deal with anything like, okay, I feel like my teeth under that or anything like that. Like he does such a good job, not just because you're here and I'm promoting it, but for real, the experience overall. And on top of that, the aftercare, which is really important too, if you get them, well, you know, that was good.
Well, you know, it's funny because I remember very well the day I spoke to Blanca about doing your veneers. Yeah. Because you guys had been really doing your research. And this is what I encourage everybody to do. If you're thinking about getting any kind of cosmetic work, plastic surgery, or you're getting veneers, you should definitely do your homework. And not just like look at the, you know, ask for portfolio or look at a portfolio before and afters, but really get to like, you know, like go in for a consultation and see how you feel in person, right? Right. And I know that you guys were doing that when you were looking into your veneers.
No, we definitely were. We were looking into it, you know?
Yeah. And I get that too when patients come to me and, it's got to be the right fit, right? So when you go back to like veneers looking a certain way, it's all on the style of the dentist, the skill of the dentist. You know, you can go and get fake chiclet looking veneers. You know, that's a matter of like that dentist, how they perceive beauty to be, or what their eye is for,
or
that.
what they think everybody wants. You
Exactly.
know what I mean?
Yeah. And some people do want that, and that's fine. Like
Yeah.
they come to me and they want the chiclets. I tell them go somewhere else. Like that's fine, because I don't do that work. That's not, to me, that's not what looks right.
Yeah, and you want it to be good for you, not just for the client, but also you want to feel comfortable with your work. You know what I
because
mean?
it's ultimately it's like my brand, my
It's your
reputation.
promotion, yeah.
And that's when you envision what you want, right? Like out of your career, or what you want like to achieve professionally. For me, it's to do the most natural looking cosmetic work. So a lot of patients that come to me come to me because they want really natural looking veneers.
And I think you're already, just like anything, right? Like barber, dentist, there's so many. What makes you different? It's because you also pay attention to those things, and you have already something that you're known for. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
And on top of that too, the both worlds relate so much because it is cosmetic. It is, you know what, like your hair grows a little crazier on this side, so we're gonna add more texture here,
Right?
And then we have this consultation, which is similar to what you do before you actually do anything, right? I always tell people, like, you can't just go in and give everybody the same haircut. Back to the teeth thing, right? Like, you can't give everybody the same too. So a lot of it ties in together, but that's really cool. And I'm sure a lot of people are gonna probably be a little more aware of maybe even reaching out. Sometimes they're scared to just do that, or on top of that, visiting the dentist period. But definitely take care of your teeth, guys. Like I never got my wisdom tooth taken out, the bottom ones that were just sitting there for so damn long, until I visited you a couple of times. You're like, these gotta go, man.
Yeah.
So I went to get them out there, and I was so scared to do that for so long, man. It's crazy. I just was,
It's scary. Like I said, it's all about the experience and how your doctor or dentist, makes you feel throughout that whole process.
Yeah, it's just like, it's funny, right? So you didn't do it because you have somebody else that's there, but
my oral surgeon.
I was in the office. Shout out to her. So man, she had to really pull out one of them.
She's strong, dude.
No, she's strong,
she's stronger than me.
That experience of the tooth, they said, okay, I get my I get the, what do you call it? So they numb it.
Right.
Okay, so they numb me, and then they numb me again. So I think you have a cream, right, that you put, like kind of.
We start with like a gel.
Okay, the gel, and then it was the actual like.
And the actual anesthetic, yeah.
So I hate looking at the needle. So whatever, like close my eyes, got that. And
even though he has tattoos.
Right. So then this one, I want to say this one was like, oh, this one's out, it's easy. This one we're gonna have to cut open or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So then they start with this one, and it ended up being what they didn't think it was gonna be. It was a lot harder. So she was pulling, then I had the other girl go in the back, like. So it's crazy because I was numb, but
they had like one leg on the chair, and they were just like pulling it
like here, and then boom, she finally pulled it out, and then the other one, it was just they went in there and zzz, you guys know the sound,
yeah,
and then boom, it was out. You smell it, actually, it has like a scent, and then boom, it was out. But like after that, I have just this peace of mind, like all my wisdom teeth are out.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about it.
I don't have to worry about any problems. So. I appreciate the push, because that's all it really is.
Yeah,
to do it.
A little push.
Yeah, it's a little push. So
that's it.
Also, back to feeling comfortable, right? So it's good that we really went into that. I think a lot of people, obviously, they want to know you on a personal level, but they also want to know about the tooth part, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, on the personal level, so that's why I'm doing more of like the podcast, and I'm showing more of my personal life on social media, because like I said, when I first started out, I had one of my really good friends. She owns a PR firm, and she was running my social media. If you scroll down,
so you never even really checked it.
No, so she would like she had me like do some photo shoots, right? If you go all the way to my first post, and then you look at like how I post now, you're gonna see a total difference.
I have to scroll down.
It's like 400 posts. But I looked at that, and I get what she was doing, right? Like she was saying, like, you gotta work with social media influencers, and you gotta have like a theme to your Instagram. Like it's gotta look clean. It's gotta have like a certain kind of vibe to it and whatnot. And I didn't really understand Instagram 6 years ago.
Yeah. Right.
How it worked. Well. When she started posting, I looked at it and I was like, it's really weird for somebody who's not a dentist to be able to promote a dental practice when they don't really know about dentistry, right?
Because it was a fairly new thing promoting
exactly
that, right?
Exactly. And I felt like at the same time, the way they were like posting my stuff, it was very like, I don't want to say like salesy. It was just kind of like, make sure you brush and floss, make sure you do this.
Yeah.
No one gives a crap about that.
Right.
It's not, you're not connecting with people like that.
Yeah, it's all about engagement, really.
Right.
You know?
And how are people going to really know what I'm about unless I take control and I give it my personal touch for people to really understand who I am, what my personality is like, what my approach is. So that's when I said, look, I'm going to take over. When I post pictures, when I write captions, when I interact with people online, that's me. So when you message me on Instagram or, you see my posts or you see my captions, that's not somebody else. That's me, because I want people to really understand what my personality is like, what my mindset is like, all of that.
So ladies, just pretty much what it's saying, like DM him, he's gonna answer.
Slide into the DMs.
They're gonna slide into the DMs for sure. They're gonna start. I already know how it's gonna go. Be like, hey, so I was thinking about going in for a little consultation. I'm kidding. So what's that like actually right now? So single, looking, single, don't care. Because there's levels, right, to the single life.
So I'm 37 years old now, right? And eventually I do want a family.
Yeah, of course.
So my 20s are behind me. Yeah. They're well behind me. So yeah, right now I am single. I am dating. But that's pretty much where we're at right now.
Okay. And that's the thing too, like at what point does the pressure kick in of like, okay, like, or is there really a timeline for you? You don't really care.
Pressure in terms of settling down?
Yeah, in terms of settling down. Like, or, I guess you can say, like, we don't have to get too deep into it, but it's just more so, like, what are the, kind of like I want to say, like, the deal breaker for you, really?
So, my personal opinion is there should never be pressure in settling down. That's when you make mistakes.
Right? And that's just relationship advice, period, right?
Straight up. Right? If you put pressure on yourself, you're going to force yourself to settle down with the right person. So, I think it's a little bit different for a lot of like doctors, because we start, kind of becoming more established later on in our lives because we do so much schooling.
Right.
Like we're basically broke until we're 30.
Yeah. No, that's a fact for real. Everybody that's in college and that I've seen, like they already they're gonna say the same exact thing.
Right. So like a lot of my friends, right, that they got their bachelor's and then they entered the the workforce or they got their master's, which is like 2-3 years. They started establishing themselves, starting to make money after college and all that. Well, a lot of doctors, a lot of dentists, they don't start, like actually making money and experiencing life until they're in their 30s, early 30s. So, you don't want to put pressure on yourself to do that. I think that you want to be able to really take your time and find the right person,
right,
before you start, like making mistakes.
Yeah. It's a little hard. I was talking about that in the last,
doctors are late bloomers.
Last few episodes of just, it's like, what does that checklist really look like nowadays, and
it changes as you get older, right?
Yeah, and then it's like how, are some of those factors things that could eventually you could work on? Do they have to be there right away? You know what I mean? It's a little hard to say.
So it's different when, like, your list, is a lot shorter, and, you're like a lot more open in the 20s, because a lot of people aren't as established in their 20s and they're still experiencing and learning life.
Right.
And then as you get older, as you start experiencing, as you start dating more, you start refining your list. So it becomes more specific as you go along.
You filter it.
You filter it. Exactly. You filter it. Yeah. You should filter it, because every like date you go on, it's not going to be like a home run, right? But you're going to learn things about what you want, what you look for, et cetera, and like future dates or your partner or whatnot.
Right. That's cool. It's good that, that you put it that way. And also the fact that you say you're 37, some people might be in that same position. So they might feel that pressure, but maybe you actually told them, there is no deadline, really.
Hey, listen, I think a lot of people are starting to settle down like older now.
Yeah.
Yeah. In terms
they're actually doing what they said they were going to do. Yeah, maybe after 30.
yeah, in terms of
day.
like marriage, in terms of having kids, you know what I mean? Like it's a pretty big commitment and responsibility.
Definitely. And then I feel like the big thing too is understanding like your lifestyle, and they have to kind of adapt to that, and you got to be for whatever they do. So, you know, me and Blanca, we grew, you know, and I feel like every time that she's doing something, just naturally, we're already in sync. Like we're, you know, whether it's the same style of clothing or being into the same things, being on the same page, that's like so important. You know what I mean?
You guys were like super young when you first met.
Yeah, we were. But then every time it's the weirdest thing. We just had this thing where it's like, okay, we're into a different kind of clothing and we're just always on the same page. So it just works. You know what I mean? It's not like she's doing something completely different. I'm still stuck in 2017. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we just, you know, we adapt, which is like such a big thing. And obviously you were talking about that earlier, like adapting to social media, you know, closing it up. What are some of the things like what's really coming for you and obviously your team? You know, actually before like, how is it now having your own, I want to say it's like a practice, right? Dentistry, and like your team, how is it managing the team and keeping them happy?
Oh man. So that's such a loaded question,
It's
right?
So let's just stick to the team part. Like, how are you
as a business owner?
Yeah, as a business owner, and you know, we're talking about getting gray hairs, right? When I was cutting your hair,
well, Ulysses was like, "God damn, you have a lot of gray hair."
every time we see each other, you know, typically the dentist is like 6 months or whatever, but we just look older every time we go see each other, right?
Well, I look fresh right now because he lined me up.
Yeah.
I look good now because of him. I look shaggy as hell before I came here. You know, when it comes to business, here's the thing, and I'll break it up. As you know, the number one thing when it comes to doctors is that they have no training when it comes to business at all.
Yeah.
When you go to dental school, when you go to medical school, there's no like formal like business training.
Yeah, you're literally just like really good at what you do. Not
It's just like you're good
necessarily
at
where
dentistry, but like in terms of like owning a business, you don't have an idea.
So you kind of just get thrown in there.
You get thrown in there. You know, we did have like maybe like a summer over like 6 weeks. Here's business 101. That's not enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And some people think that, oh, I have to go to, let me go to business. Let me take a business course. But I mean, for the most part, you have to learn. Maybe after that, do your research, because there's a lot of things out there that can teach you, you know, nowadays.
Definitely. I mean, look, there's so many resources available like online or just like, you know, asking out to people that you look up to.
Having mentors is like such an important thing.
Super important. I have a ton of
people
mentors.
downplay that a lot. Like I have a few mentors that, you know, I'm hoping that eventually I'll bring them on the season, but they're like literally ghosts. But when they, you know, when people see them here, they're gonna be like, wow, I could see why you were asking them for advice or why you were reaching out.
And one of the keys is to never be afraid to ask for advice or help.
Yeah.
I have a lot of mentors.
Yeah.
I became friends with a lot of like dentists who I admired their work through social media. I reached out to them and then we became friends.
Yeah. And somebody recently told me this, you know, I was asking them about, like, we understand that you get thrown into something you learn by fucking up pretty much or by messing up, you know?
Definitely.
But also, how do you teach that when you have a team, when you're actually trying to put them in position to win? So he said either people are going to learn by messing up themselves or they're going to learn by somebody who already messed up, which is us. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know, it became a different ball game, you know, in a pandemic world as a business owner.
Definitely. Yeah. We're still getting out of the woods, really. You know, we're still like finally seeing the light. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, we're just like weathering that storm. So it's like it's one thing to manage people. It's another thing to like, let's just say, okay, as a dentist. So like, it's one thing to do the dentistry. It's another thing to manage employees. It's another thing to run a business. It's a lot. That's why a lot of people don't become business owners. It's like having your own kid. It's so many responsibilities.
It really is, man. Trust me.
And risk.
Yeah, it's a risk too, you know, and you have to also do the long-term thing where, you know, you see this person, you're like, okay, I see where you could be in 6 months, taking that risk for 6 months until they get there and developing them throughout that time. And like, you know, I was down to like almost 4 barbers in the pandemic, which was like never happening. I started in my shop with 6 chairs. When I moved to LA, we, you know, throughout the years, we went up to 12 chairs. And, I added those extra 3 because I knew already as like, okay, I've been here in the business. Now I'm going to work on the business. So let me try to capitalize as much as I can and add more people, get more opportunities. And then boom, the pandemic hits. My thought of growing it to 12 team members didn't happen. right now, thankfully, thank God, like we're at 10, which is like the most I've ever had.
Great.
So I'm blessed, but you know, we're kind of at the same position. I see you've been growing your team too.
Yeah, I've been growing my
So
team.
props to you.
And you know, it's just like at the end of the day, you know, it's kind of going back to what you said about people. You know, what do you do in terms of getting a degree, not getting a degree? What do you do in terms of being a business owner? And so this is what it boils down to, right? When I got my bachelor's, I applied to over 80 jobs. You know, like when I graduated from UC San Diego, that
Right.
1 year I took off. Do you know how many job interviews I got?
How many?
With the bachelor's? 0.
Wow.
Nothing.
Nothing?
Absolutely nothing. So I was like, what the hell? I went to college for 4 years, to a very like good university for
course.
4 years, and I didn't get one job interview
Not
or
one
job.
opportunity?
Not one opportunity for that 1 year, you know? And here's the thing. It all boils down to, for anybody out there listening, about, you know, what they want to do in their lives and where they want to go. It doesn't matter, in my opinion, whether you have a degree or not. What matters is how dedicated you are, how hardworking you are, and if you have that drive in you. I know a lot of people that don't have degrees that are very successful. Not just in what they do, not just financially, because they have that drive.
Yeah, aside from all that other stuff.
Right.
You know?
There are a lot of people I know that have degrees that are not very successful.
Right.
Right? The only thing a degree can maybe provide you is maybe some stability.
Yeah, some, and then it's kind of like a status, but yet it's what you do after, which we always talk about the after effect, right?
Definitely.
People get to a certain point and then they feel like things are just gonna like land in their lap. But you can't really ever cheat the grind. I talk about that all the time. You guys just gotta outwork people and be better. Put yourself in position.
You absolutely cannot. When I was thinking of buying my practice in Beverly Hills, you know, I talked to different mentors, and they literally told me I was crazy. They're like, you've never owned a practice before. How old was I? Like 6 years ago. Okay, so I was like, you know, like 30, 31, right?
You lost count after
I
30.
I stopped. I'm like, whatever. 30 was it. And, you know, they're like, you're absolutely crazy because you're in such a competitive, saturated market. It's like you're literally going, you don't know how to swim, and then you just go straight into the deep part of the ocean.
For sure.
With a lot of sharks, right? And so they thought I was crazy. But I believed in myself. That I'm like, I know what my vision is and where I want to go. And if I can't do it, then it can't be done.
Yeah.
Because I know that everything I've ever put my mind to, I've achieved. And it sounds cliche.
No, I relate to that a lot,
right.
though, because even me, you know, getting out of that time where I was, you know, going towards college, right? That was a goal. And then I just literally quit to go to something that was really considered a hobby at the time. All my family members were saying I was crazy, that you're not going to make money there, that you're not going to do this, you're not going to do that. And yet I already knew what I wanted for myself. I knew I was going to give it 100% and make the best out of it that I could. And that's why, like, now that I stepped away from the cutting, I feel content with everything I did at the time, because I knew I gave it full effort and I was working, you know, those long hours, all those things make you a great leader, going back to the team part, right?
Oh, for sure.
You have to lead by example. And
especially during these times.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe at one point you could tell them, like, yo, you know, I know what your goal is, but you have to do this for now. You know what I mean? Like, this is the stuff that you have to learn. And you got to earn your stripes. I always say that, you know, to my team. And, you know, I'm hoping that eventually, you know, I could grow into having more shops and still tied down to that industry in that sense, and give people more opportunities to not just better themselves, but be part of something that's growing, which is, you know, obviously the S&D brand. And you know what I mean? I think I don't know, this switch came on me at one point. I don't know when it was, but like once you start understanding that everything's attainable, it just becomes a lot easier to like go after the next goal. And a lot of people question that, right? Like, how do you keep going?
Well, it's okay. So I say for certain things, I'm not patient, but what I've come to learn when it comes to business, when it comes to, you know, reaching your goals, is you have to look at it one day at a time. If you're moving forward, even the slightest bit, if you're moving towards your goal one day at a time, you will get there.
It's progress. Yeah. It doesn't matter how fast or how far it is, but it's still progress. And that's so important, man. you know, it's good, it's funny, right? So we were talking right now, and I was like, okay, we talked about the dentist thing, so much knowledge, but I mean, we're listening to ourselves right now, but so many gems, you know, aside from the dentist side of it to, you know, people going after what they want. But hopefully everybody got something out of this episode. If you guys made it this far, you guys are champs, because this is an hour of a lot of knowledge, you know what I mean? And Definitely. You're going to listen to yourself, and you're going to, you know, kind of revisit those goals and those times that you were, you know, in your journey and stuff. And it's good to see that.
Sometimes take a step back and look at where you started, and then look at where you're at now.
Yeah, because it's what you wanted at one point, right? That's
Definitely.
so important. You know, that's really, I'm telling you guys, like, once you guys start understanding how these things work, you know, it makes the next step that much easier, I should say.
Absolutely.
So props to you, everything that you're doing. Make sure that you guys check them out again.
Likewise.
Like I said, I'm gonna tag all your links below. Real quick, just in case anybody wants to know, like, how easy is it to get in? Do they just have to reach out to you? How can they reach you? How can they actually go in for a visit?
To my office, you can either shoot me a DM on Instagram, or you can call my office or email my office. Ulysses is going to have all the information there.
Definitely.
But if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's at NH Dentistry Beverly Hills. And if you want to call my office, it's 310-659-5399. And, you know, my staff will take care of you guys.
Yeah, they gotta, you know, not just him, but the staff's amazing for sure. Hospitality, which is dope, because that ties into like how you grew up and what you want, the standard of your business.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm the same way. So cheers to that.
Cheers. Salute,
Some
man.
more success.
Look at your watered down drink.
I know, right? It's already all water at this point.
Don't do that.
But appreciate you for pulling up. And we will catch you guys on the next episode. Make sure that you guys drop a comment if you guys made it this far. If you guys are listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, on the road, you know, we appreciate you guys, and hopefully you guys took something from this episode. Let's go.